Welcome back to the stream, welcome back Twitch, welcome back YouTube. Alright, today we are gonna talk about a topic that is fresh off the press. Not really. It's why is art so damn expensive? And throughout the stream, I can answer your questions about it while I'm doing some expensive art myself. But without further ado, let's just get into it. So, the first reason that art is so damn expensive is something that I feel like not a lot of people understand. In order to even start doing art, well, you have to buy programs. And there are some free programs, but it also takes time. So, my 3D program alone, this guy right here, which I need to close, that costs $1,000. It's no small price to pay. And not to mention all the time it takes to learn those programs in the first place. So it's not cheap. And I pay a $10 a month subscription fee for Photoshop, $20 a month for Premiere, and that's not to mention the several other programs I've bought for 3D to help with rendering, to help with modeling, for retopology and texturing and all that junk. All in all, I've spent quite a bit of money, not to mention schooling, which not every artist ends up spending, but still a factor to consider. Now, there are free alternatives that beginning artists can use, but if you ever want to do professional work, unfortunately, well, some of the free alternatives can do professional jobs too, like Blender. Blender's really good. You just kind of have to work with it a little bit more than most other programs in order to get it to do professional looking things, which can take extra time, which also, feeds into the expensive art thing. Okay, so number 2 is something we touched on briefly in number 1, and that is time. So in addition to programs, an artist, obviously it takes a long time to learn a skill. And last I checked, what we do to people who take time out of their day to do something for us is we pay them, usually by the hour. But, artists, depending on the artist, will charge a different amount. I, for one, do a semi-hourly charge. It's more of I estimate how long the project's going to take, or how long it should take me, and then I figure out how much that would be with $25 an hour is what I charge my services at, and then whatever that number ends up being is the charge that I do. So it ends up being an hourly charge, but not quite an hourly charge. It's it's like a flat rate, because if I do happen to go over that time or under that time, I still get paid the same amount. So it's more of an estimation in that respect. But, different artists do it different ways. Some people keep track of their time, which is totally a valid solution. Certain websites, if you use them for freelance, though, don't actually allow you to do that. So whether or not that's an option for you is, all dependent on what you're using to do your freelance. If you're going out of your way to acquire them yourself, or if you're using a website like Fiverr or Behance or Upwork. Now, a lot of the times, people like to think about, when they think expensive art, they like to think about how some guy, puts a dot on a piece of paper and they sell it for multiple millions of dollars. And that is what I like to call an absolute scam. Now, not all of it is scams. Some people use really complicated techniques to get to their... It may look simple, but they may have done something crazy to get to that stage. And they just did it for the art of it, and that creates value because they spent a lot of time and a lot of thought into the thing that they were doing. So those are valid. Now, it's not to say that all of expensive art is a scam, because that's not at all the case. But I can guarantee you that there are quite a few of them that are. And that is because of the modern art craze, where you just create something, you'd say that you thought super deep about it, and then it turns out that you didn't. And you make a quick buck. But the only way you can do that is if you're already reputable for other artwork. So people aren't necessarily paying for the circle on paper, or on canvas. They're more paying for the notoriety of your name in that respect. And that does take time, and that, to build up your reputation to that point, and at that point, you kind of deserve you deserve the money. It's kind of silly, but at a certain point of an artist's career, the more recognition they get, the more they can charge for their artwork because of their name. It's kind of like a popularity contest, because you don't necessarily have to be a good artist, just a popular one. That said, you don't really become a popular artist unless you're a good artist, or unless you do something crazy. It's all about how you market yourself. But yeah, that is one reason why art can be very expensive, and the reason that art is so expensive. Notoriety. So I guess we can call that number 3. Now, number 4 is pretty easy. That one is more just, that one is the kind of art that you're doing. Now, not all art is expensive. Depending on the kind of work I do, I either charge $20 or I charge $200. So it depends on what medium I'm using and what the project is. For instance, the projects that cost $20 is usually just a rough sketch, something to get an idea on the paper. It's nothing crazy. And there are a lot of artists, beginning artists, that don't charge that much, and that's fine, but just know that the more you pay, the better the quality of the art. Typically, you do have to, I would always look for a portfolio. If you're ever looking to purchase art, definitely always ask for a portfolio, because you do not want to get into a situation where a small-time artist is far overcharging because they were told to by a professional, and then get into a situation where you're paying, $200 for what equates to a middle school drawing of an anime character. But, different artists, different levels of professionalism, and they want to charge more. Some people charge $75 an hour, and that's just because, they have the clientele to do it, and they have the notoriety. Yeah, going back to the medium that you use. 2D is typically a lot cheaper than 3D. And that is because 2D, you don't actually need a whole lot to get started. Now, if you are super frugal as an artist, all you need is a pen and paper and potentially access to a scanner, which you can get at your local library. So, really, sure, you have to invest in pencils, markers, and whatever you need to get your work done, or paints and whatnot, and paints are expensive. Very, very, very expensive. Especially if you want, professional, high-grade paints. But all in all, the barrier for entry for 2D art is a lot lower, and you can get away with doing just pencil and paper if you want to, and still make money. So it tends to be a bit cheaper than 3D art, which you need, number 1, a computer. Number 2, you need a good computer, or at least a half-decent computer. and those are not cheap. Then you need a 3D program, which of course there's Blender, which is free. But then you have rendering programs and you have animation programs, which Blender can also do animation, so there's that. There are less expensive alternatives to doing professional 3D art. But regardless, the barrier for entry is still a lot higher, which I know I've talked about in a previous video. That also adds to the price of the art. And now a 3D model, just in general, 3D art tends to be more of an expensive endeavor, especially if you want something custom, because it also takes a lot longer for setup. See, with 2D, I can just kind of hit pen to paper, start at it. But with 3D, there's a fair amount. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed, hit that link down below, the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitch, which will be somewhere around here. For future live streams, talking about art and all that fun stuff. Let's see, link to my socials is down below in the description as well. Other than that, thank you for all who joined during the live stream. Much appreciated. Thank you for the follows and the talks and all sorts of fun stuff. Other than that, I'm gonna sign out. See you later, and stay creative. Peace.